Hi, welcome to Bathtub, where when you hear this sweater, and it's followed by this music, and we stopped the New-Bop-A-Lula really quick because we're afraid of being sued, but the music keeps going, and the bird keeps chirping, and you see this hat, you see this sweater, you know it's time for the next of the Bathtacular, Holiday Bathtaculars. I'm switching hats for a moment. You'll see why in a minute. Bathtacular episodes. It's a Holiday Bathtacular. And we're only going to do a few of these because I'm already exhausted with my annoying bird. I brought Dodo back. She's been brought back from exile because she was a very bad bird in the last episodes. And I can't have her in here if I'm trying to concentrate on anything because she's become obstreperous. She's an obstreperous parakeet. So I put this hat on because she doesn't like this hat. That's why she won't jump on my head as much. I'm taking this sweater off. And I know this is extremely unfestive, but I'm taking it off because I'm sweating in that damn thing. And the music drives me crazy. So we're going to do another short episode just to catch up here because it's Christmas, and we wanted to do a Christmas episode of New-Bop-A-Lula, mainly because I have all these books lying around that were new books I wanted to tell you about for no other reason than someone sent them to me. I'm not picking these for any reason except someone sent them to me. They look kind of interesting, and we have so many weird anal types out there in the world of books. Just looking at books sometimes seems to please a lot of us. I don't know why it is. Anyway, my number one of the new books I received in the mail. When you write book reviews, this is the only good thing about book reviewing is people send you free books. That's the only good part. The pay is terrible. No one likes you. No one ever likes a good review. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. No one likes it. But they send you free books, and that's waking up in the morning and somebody sends you a book is kind of cool. Okay, so I got lots of new books here. My two favorite new books were, of course, these new Simonons. These came in from the UK. I'm going to let Dodo be in episodes where it doesn't matter if you hear me or not because she's just incredibly obstreperous. These are, the new one is The Strangers in the House. I have the old first edition of that somewhere, but I prefer these penguins now because they just save me a little space and the new translations and so forth. And it's one of his thrillers. It's one of his 40s, 50s era thrillers. And I'm going to read that. As soon as I opened it, I started this. This is called Death Threats. These are only available in the United Kingdom right now, but you can probably order them if you're a Simonon nut like me. You can probably order them, and then you can, the other choice is you can wait. They'll come out in America eventually. These are 5 stories, Maigret stories. See, she's afraid of the hat. You got to get pretty early in the morning, Dodo, to fool me. This is Death Threats. It's 5 Maigret stories. Two of them are novellas, and then 3 very short stories. And they're all great. I really am enjoying this book. I just basically picked it up. I've read every one except the last one. So I can. These are the only of the new books I've read. And I have to say, one of the stories, The Man on the Streets. She's afraid of the hat. She's afraid of the hat. It's one of his best stories. It's only like a 20-page story, and it's one where Maigret's trying to catch a murderer, and he comes up with this little game he's going to play, and he follows this guy through Paris for like 6 or 8 days. It's a wonderful story with a real interesting ending. So anyway, both of these are great. Strangers in the Train, not Strangers, The Strangers in the House, and that. I was going to show you this because I'm getting rid of this. I used to have the 2 HBJ Harcourt Brace books, which were like, this has like 15 to 20 short stories, most of which are Maigret's Pipe. There's another one called Maigret's Christmas. And they were so badly produced that the pages keep coming out. So I'm kind of getting rid of it. But I'm really glad to see Penguin bringing out the Maigret's and short stories because they're great. We're having our Christmas cocktail. It's bourbon, a martini, another martini, 2 Valium, a little sprinkle of Acapulco Gold. We put that in all our Christmas drinks. and some more bourbon, and some absinthe, a worm from an absinthe bottle, and another worm. And we call this, what we call this? We call this Santa's Little Helper. It's a special cocktail. You're getting cocktail advice now from your bathtub. Actually, it's just, it's a instant cafe latte is what it is. Here's a book I forgot to show in the last time we did New-Bop-A-Lula. This is a, what do you call them, an advanced reading copy. And it's called Index, A History of the Bookish Adventure from Medieval Manuscripts to the Digital Age by someone named Dennis Duncan. It hasn't come out yet. It comes out in February. But when I saw this, I thought, God, a lot of our anal types, our fellow anal types who like books, might like a whole book based on the history of the index. I don't particularly find the index that interesting, but it's kind of interesting. I always browse through indexes when there is one. Anyway, it's just a history of the index, and he brings up all sorts of stuff about the index. Okay, what else have we got here? Okay, we've got the problem here because I'm an idiot that I never set my stupid computer to stop shutting off in the middle of, it goes into power saving mode. Here's a few books. This is another book of stories that came out 2 or 3 years ago. A May Gray Christmas. That's also available. Here's something. I haven't read any of these books. The FSG, Farrar, Straus and Giroux Poetry Anthology, edited by Jonathan Galassi, who's been a longtime editor at FSG, and Robin Cresswell. That's kind of a cool book for birthdays, Christmases, and so forth. It's a bit pricey, $40, but it has. I don't usually read anthologies of poetry. I like to read single volumes by single individual poets. But this is all, FSG's had a great poetry list for decades and decades, and have published many of these poets originally. From the example, John Ashbery, John Berryman, I always love John Berryman, Frank Bedard, Elizabeth Bishop, Joseph Brodsky. There's just so much, Stuart Dybek, T.S. Eliot, Ted Hughes, Philip Larkin. Anyway, it seems to be set up chronologically, so it does 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2020s, and it's individual poems by various poets. And if you're kind of new to poetry, or you just kind of want to browse through a book, this might be kind of a cool book to keep around, like near the. I keep books like this in the bathroom because you're in the bathroom and you want just a minute or two, and you can read a poem in there, and you're concentrating, you're focusing because there's nothing else to do in there. So I don't know. There's a lot of places you could keep this lovely book, and I don't really keep those books around myself. This is a new series coming from the MIT Press, who did all those kind of cool Stanislaw Lem books. It's called Voices from the Radium Age. And these are stories from the beginnings of science fiction. So before science fiction was really established as a genre or as a magazine genre. And it's stories basically from the beginnings of the 20th century. So it's got E.M. Forster and Jack London, and W.E.B. Du Bois wrote a science fiction story called The Comet. I didn't know that. Neil R. Jones, William Hope Hodgson. Anyway, it's kind of a cool looking book, and they're going to bring a whole bunch of novels out that were published early in the 20th century. And they're kind of they haven't come out yet. This comes out in March, and they're going to bring out a whole series of books. Cool books. Here's another one. This is a publisher we've talked to, Tachyon Publications. I think they're largely established in San Francisco, a West Coast publisher. I know, there's Dodo's hat. She won't go near this hat. I know them because they were the publishers of Tom Dish's last couple of books, which were great. The Wall Around America and the book, I think it's The Word of God. Tom's last book was about how he was God and knew everything. And they published those books, which most publishers wouldn't touch at that time because Tom wasn't making enough money for them. Anyway, I liked Tachyon since then, and they publish a lot of genre stuff, science fiction, detective, mystery stuff. I have not read, I don't know if I'll ever read them, but they look interesting. Patrick O'Leary's novel 51. I have no idea what it's about, but it looks good. And Lavi Tidhar's The Escapement. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. But anyway, these are two new novels coming out in... Oh, they're already out. So this is September 2021, and that's coming out in February, the Patrick O'Leary book. I don't know anything about them, but you might want to try them. Here's one I do know. Joe R. Lansdale. They're publishing a book of stories. These are Hap and Leonard. I don't know if you know the Hap and Leonard stories. I've read a couple of the novels. They're pretty funny. They're kind of, redneck detectives, and they're in this kind of redneck world, and they're pretty funny, and they're good. Lansdale's a really good thriller writer and a good horror writer. So I haven't read these stories, but they're coming out in March 2022, and you might want to look for those next year. Here's two new books that just came out. Hold on, I have a little sip of the, what's this called? Santa's Little Helper. And this is Rachel Carson, the great environmentalist writer who was publishing books when I was, probably before I was born and just after I was born. This includes the Sea Trilogy, Under the Sea Wind, The Sea Around Us, and The Edge of the Sea. There's a handsome, smart woman who did a lot of good for the world until we found out other ways to destroy it. And I really got to get somebody in here to remind me to fix my damn computer. The Sea Around Us, Library of America, cool books. If you really have got environmentalists in the family, there's a great book to send them. And the new W.E. Du Bois. It's a book of mainly essays. And I haven't looked at it at all. I don't know anything about this book, but it's on Black Reconstruction, an essay toward a history of the part which black folk played in the attempt to reconstruct democracy in America, 1860 to 1880. So that just came out from Library of America Press. Great looking volume, well put together. And I think that's the last it. We've also got the Ravenna Review. I've got a Christmas story in here I'm about to read to you. It's December 2021. It comes out of Charlotte, Virginia. Where does it come from? Anyway, it's published in Virginia, and it's a small literary magazine, which he's trying to do and sell in like normal magazine stores, which I think is a great idea, because most literary reviews get sold nowhere. So he's trying to get a local readerships for this sort of a fun literary magazine. It's not highbrow literary. It's just for people to read. Okay, that's it. Dodo, say goodbye. Dodo? Oh, she's over there playing with her toys. She won't be here in the next one, but we'll see you soon. I'm going to do one more Christmas Bathtacular, and then we're going to disappear for our holidays. Bye.